Hello and welcome to today's session. My name is Nadia Davis and I'm the Manager for Customer Training Services here in Oceania. Our session today is part of our ANZ Public Library series. And today's session, we are reviewing MyHeritage Library Edition. Now, before we start, just a little bit of housekeeping. This session is being recorded and the recording is in progress. If you have any questions for me today, please do feel free to send them through using either the chat panel in Zoom or the Q&A panel. And I'll just send everybody a quick hello so you can see where that chat panel is. After today's session, you will receive a copy of the recording and the slide deck. And as this is also part of a series, once the series has ended, all of the recordings will be made available through a dedicated playlist on our Oceania Zoom YouTube channel. So that's just something that we'll make available kind of after the series has ended. Okay, so moving on from there, these are the objectives from our session today. It's my hope that by the end of this session, you will be able to describe and navigate MyHeritage Library Edition, perform searches on MyHeritage to find relevant results, access historical records and family tree profiles, and locate promotional materials and tools that you can use to help promote MyHeritage within your library. Now, for those that might not be aware, MyHeritage Library Edition is a genealogy research database. It allows you to search through historical documents related to genealogy and also family tree profiles. Access to MyHeritage is not restricted just to the library. This is one of the key benefits of having the MyHeritage Library Edition. It's available both on site, but also remotely through a particular authentication method that your library has made available for their users. Quite often, it's usually the library card barcode that they can use to access it, but every library might be a little bit different. This just means that usage is not restricted to the library, but users can conduct their genealogy research from the comfort of home. The other thing to mention here is that MyHeritage is a very large and diverse historical record collection. It spans over 5 centuries with records from over 48 countries, and that also includes Australia and New Zealand. The interface itself is quite simple and easy to use. The search engine is able to automatically handle things like translations, as well as synonyms and spelling variations in a wide variety of languages. It's also quite easy to use. There's lots of easy to use search tools, a lot of browsing options as well. And it also features a unique record detective feature. And I will show you this in the live demonstration component from our session today. The record detective allows you to be in one record, but easily navigate to other related records back to that initial topic of your genealogy research. So lots of little bit of information there about MyHeritage. Now, in terms of the content, there is quite a lot of content within the MyHeritage. There's over 20 billion historical records, and these are updated very regularly. For Oceania alone, there's 100 million plus records loaded every month, and that will continue to be added every month for these different regions. So there's a lot of content available in there. A lot of time, money, and resources are dedicated to attending worldwide genealogy conferences as well to ensure that the content available in MyHeritage is relevant, it's up to date, and useful for those doing genealogy research. Now, this is some information that we often hear or get feedback about. So these are some of the key exclusive and licensed content that you'll find in MyHeritage. One of the biggest draw cards for MyHeritage is something called the family tree profiles. These are updated every day, and these profiles are unique to MyHeritage. In addition to that, there's also access to other family tree profiles like Genie, which is kind of a third-party provider as well. In terms of our licensed content, there will be information such as tributes, obituaries, Wiki Tree, Billion Graves, Canadian Headstones, and many other licensed content. There's also exclusive content that is made available on MyHeritage, such as the filet content from a French genealogical site that includes French births, deaths, and marriage records, as well as German marriage records from the North Rhine and Westphalia. So they're constantly licensing additional content to help make MyHeritage really diverse and robust. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, it also supports multilingual support. So this is one of the most multilingual family history platforms globally, currently supporting 42 different languages. And you can see those supported languages here on the screen. And in the live demonstration, I will show you how you can easily access the translation options. Now, I mentioned a little bit earlier about access to MyHeritage Library Edition. Now, for a lot of different providers, it's generally on site. So you're in the library and you're accessing your genealogy platform on site, maybe through IP or some other on site option. However, the MyHeritage Library Edition also allows for remote access, and this again will depend on your library, but in this case, we have the remote access provided through the use of a member's library card. So it just means that MyHeritage Library Edition is available everywhere at any time where, for those users that might be doing their genealogy research. Okay, so that's a little bit about the platform. We are going to head over now into a live demonstration, and we are going to start off with our basic search, and I'm going to give you a bit of an overview of what to expect and what to see and how to navigate MyHeritage. So bear with me for one moment. So this is MyHeritage Library Edition. I've actually logged in, so I'm in an authenticated platform here through my EBSCO subscription. And what we can see at the top right of the screen, just a little bit of navigation here, is there is a link into a tutorial. So if users are at home, they've logged in and they're starting their genealogy research and they're not sure where to begin, this is a great place for them to go, and they get a nice tutorial. It's about 3 minutes in length, and it will show them, guide them through the platform. It also provides a bit more information about some of the content that is available through MyHeritage here as well. So lots of information there, including an about. All right, so that is in the top right-hand side. I'm just going to navigate back to that main page. The other thing you'll find here as well is when we click on English, it'll open up the option to translate the interface. So this is that supported language option that I mentioned, and this is quite unique to MyHeritage. On the main page here, we have landed in a basic search form, and we are going to run a search for some names shortly and look for some historical records, but I just wanted to point out kind of what we see when we first land on the page. Under that, we can also narrow our search records by a particular location. Now, this is very useful. As I mentioned, when we looked at the content here, there's billions of records, billions and billions of records. So we want to kind of help us to restrict and refine our searches down, we can limit here by location. So I'm going to show you this in a little bit. Another feature here is just over to the right-hand side, we have the categories. And the categories are really useful in that I can browse things immediately. So just browsing through here without even constructing a search, I can browse through things like the census and voter lists. And if you do click on more for these as well, it will kind of open up a new page. So I'm now in the census and voter lists, but down here I can see the different census options available, such as US, France, UK and Ireland, and we've got the Australian electoral rolls here as well. So that, and again, you've got more down the bottom too if you're wanting to view more options. So that is the collections. I'm just going to jump back to all collections here. We can also filter down by birth, marriage, and death records. And again, these will be global. We've got maps, histories, memories, and biographies, schools and university records, public records, directories. We've got things like photos as well and documents. There's government, land, court, and wills records. There's also family trees, and you'll see here MyHeritage family trees. It's a very big draw card of this platform. There's Family Search family tree, there's Genie World family tree, and of course you do have the more here. And anytime you see that more, it will open up and show you some of those different options here as well. So we've got Philae family trees, MyHeritage members, and so on. So lots of options here. So I won't go into all of these now. I'll just point out what is here. We've also then got immigration records, newspaper items, military records, and books and publications. So that is the categories to the right. A little bit further on in our session, we'll actually have a look at browsing the collection catalogue, which is really quite useful if you're looking for something very specific. But we're going to start off now just doing a basic search on this main page. And you can alternate between a basic and an advanced. But we're going to start with a basic search. Now for here, I'm going to just be entering in a first and middle name and also a last name. Again, if you don't know the full details, the advanced search can definitely help in terms of adding in additional content to try and find that specific person that you're looking for. Again, we'll come back to the advanced searching shortly, but we are just going to start off with a basic, kind of a basic search. What I do want to do though is limit my results to Oceania. As I mentioned, there is going to be a lot of records coming back in my search. So now I'm searching records by location, and I can navigate into Australia or a particular state, or even into New Zealand or Pacific Islands from here as well, within that Oceania region. So coming back up to the top of the screen, I'm going to start typing in a name. So I'm looking for Doris Lavinia, and the surname is Finster. So Doris Lavinia Finster. Now, the more information you can add in here, obviously, the better the results are going to be, the better the matches. However, from time to time, sometimes you don't have all of the information available to you. You might have a year of birth, or maybe you don't. So they do have quite a cool little tool here that allows you to calculate a year of birth, because you might have some information. Maybe you know how old an ancestor was in a particular year. So I feel like this particular ancestor was around 21 in 1932. So if we calculate this, we can see year of birth has been calculated as 1911. So again, if you had, they're about 80 years old in a particular year, then you can kind of get that year of birth calculation. You can also put in your place of birth or residence or any other kind of place information here as well. And you can also add in additional keywords like they had a particular occupation, or maybe they came over on a particular boat, or maybe they worked in the military, for example. So you can put those additional keywords in as well. Now, there is also an exact search. I will just mention, if you are doing a basic search and you're wanting to go quite broad to see what options are available, the exact search will refine and limit your search results a little bit. So depending on how much information you have and how accurate you think it might be, you might go with an exact match. If not, keep it free, and then you'll just be able to refine it from the search results themselves. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and search this search here. So we're looking for Doris Lavinia, and the surname is Finster. So I've now got my results, and you'll see that those results came back very quickly. In fact, at the top of the screen, you can see I've got 982 results that came back in 0.74 seconds. So very quick search engine to locate that content. Now I do have some matches here in the middle of the pane in my search results, as we can see here. I've got Doris Lavinia Finster. This is coming from the New South Wales Birth Index, and we can see that birth date matching here. I then have a MyHeritage family tree record. Again, I've got another record from New South Wales Birth Index. I've got another one here, but I can see this is New York. So likely this one is not going to be relevant. I know this ancestor was definitely Australian, so this is probably not going to be relevant to my search. And scrolling down a little bit further, again, we see another one here Doris Lavinia Davis, born Finster, and we can see some similar names here as well. So I'd say those records are probably related. Another thing that you'll also see here is that you have this star or rating system. Now, the star system is not about how popular a record might be. It's more about the match of the record to our search requirements. So what our search record was, Doris Lavinia Finster, 1911, how accurate that was to our search that we conducted. So this is almost a 5 stars. This is probably the correct ancestor, I would say. All right, so the next thing we can also do on the left-hand side, you also have the option to narrow your search down by those different categories. And we can see in here we've got the birth index, we've got MyHeritage family trees and so on. And you do have your options here to narrow down. You can also further refine your search by things like the first name, last name, the father's name or the mother's name. So if you know that information, if you have that on hand, you can certainly refine this down a little bit. But I think my results are pretty accurate at this point. So I'm going to show you a few of these records. So we'll start off with our top one. It's almost 5 stars, so it's pretty relevant search match to my initial criteria. So I'm just going to click the name link and it will come into here. It's a pretty basic record. So I've got the birth year, the father and the mother's name. So I now have a bit more information about this ancestor. If I wanted to go and find more information about the father or the mother, I've got those details to do it. Also, what I can do here is I can cite the record. So if you ever need to cite something from MyHeritage, there's an option here and we can copy that to the clipboard. There is also the option over here to print that as well. All right, so I'll go back to my search results. That's a pretty basic record. And we'll now have a look at the second one, which is our family tree. And again, this is a pretty good match. So these top ones are pretty good. Let's have a look at this one here. So it's Davis, but born Finster. I did not type Davis in, right? It's picked up the fact that this is probably the ancestor I'm looking for. The birth date matches, and so do the names. And so here we can start to see some things. So I've got the date of birth and the location. So she was coming up in the New South Wales birth, deaths and marriage index. We've got marriage happened in 1941. It was private. We've got the residence. So this is where we can start to see, like, does this make sense from my ancestor, the information that I have? Do these residences make sense? Did she reside in Victoria? And in this case, this is actually my great grandmother. She did. So this is correct. She did live in Bendigo. She did actually pass away in Hervey Bay at this date. So this is definitely my ancestor. This is correct. So scrolling down a little bit further in here, because this is also the family tree record, I can see some information about the source, the Pemberton family site, when it was last updated, and who's created this. And then I've got my family members. So I can see here the parents, these are hyperlinked as well, the husband, the siblings, and the children as well. So I can navigate, you'll notice these are hyperlinked, so I can navigate into these family members to find more information about those ancestors as well. And again, down the bottom of the page, you've got your site and you've got your print here as well. So I'm just going to jump back to my search results. We will come back to some of those family tree records shortly. I'm just going to have another browse at this record here. Again, it's a birth index. So just confirming, yep, this is very similar to that original record that we had a little bit earlier. Now, just scrolling down here, here's another family tree site. And with this one, I've still got the same details. I don't have all the information though. You'll see this record's not quite complete because other people do put these together. We can see it's been recently updated. So that could be why there's not as much information in this one. Maybe they started it, they haven't finished it. I don't know. But up here as well, if we scroll down a little bit further, just under the site and the print, we find our little record detective. So this record detective is saying, hey, we've actually found more records for this person and you can navigate into them here. So we've got, again, the birth index. We've also got a relative search here. So there's a family tree search for Mary Catherine Walls. And we can see when we hover, it picks up that name. It's a 5-star, it's a family search family tree, and we can view details here of that particular family. Again, we've got another one in another family tree platform called Genie. And we also have the death index. So Mary Catherine Finster was the mother. And if we scroll through, we have some additional features here as well. So that's our record detective. Again, it just will take you to more information about your ancestor and lead you into some more information relative to that initial record that you're interrogating. Okay, so that's a basic name search. I found quite a bit of information just doing that, to be honest. From here as well, we'll just jump into this MyHeritage family tree. This one was the one that had a lot more information in it. So again, I can cross-reference what we saw there in that record detective, and I can go, yeah, okay, this is correct. This is Mary Catherine Walls that was coming up in that little record detective option. So from here, if I was interested in learning more about this particular ancestor, I can click the name. I can view more family members in this family tree site and navigate in even further. So it really does take you down a bit of a rabbit hole, but it does allow you to really get in and view information that has been updated and added into this platform. Okay, so that is the search, the basic search, and reviewing some of those options. And again, we can use these category filter options down the left-hand side as well. So I'm just going to go back to MyHeritage. I'm just going to click this link and that will just take me back to the main page. So we've got our browse category options to the right-hand side. But what it does by default over here is it takes us into the advanced search. So if you want the basic, that's fine. You can always toggle it off. I do like the basic to kind of filter down by those Oceania records, but advanced search is also here. And of course, you can add in keywords and things as well. So this can be useful if you're trying to locate information about someone and you don't have all of the details. So in this case, I know my ancestor was married to someone called Alex John Roper. It was male. I know it was a marriage. So the marriage took place, I think, around 1931. So I can type this in. Now, if you're not 100% sure, can do a flexible, which is what I'm going to choose to do so. Or if you know it was definitely a date, you could have it match exactly and have that particular option listed here as well. So I'm just going to keep it quite flexible. I want it to be a little bit broad. If I knew the place that that marriage took place or that event took place, I can do an optional match, which is the default, or a match required. Okay, so if the match is required, it will give you less results, and sometimes you might exclude some relevant ones. So I'm looking for a marriage here. If I wanted to add another event as well, I can. And again, you can really create quite an advanced search here by adding in these different events. So birth, deaths, marriages, residence, immigration, or military information. You can also type in your relatives. So if you knew the father's name, the mother's name, a spouse, a child, or a sibling to kind of narrow it down, you can do so here. And again, you can always add additional relatives here as well. So this just helps to create a much more advanced search. So I've got some info now. I know the first and middle name, and I know the last name. And this was a marriage that occurred around 1931. So again, I could do an exact search. It will be a little bit more restrictive. I can also limit my records to a particular region. So maybe I just want to do Australia, or maybe I wanted to, oops, let's just clear that out. Or maybe I wanted to, I have to put that back in. Just go in here and do that again. Oops, he's definitely male. And it was a marriage and it was 1931. All right, so you can see Australia's come through now. So I'm just going to go and hit search. And so I've got 2 records here. Now, the first one I can see was an exact match, 5 out of 5 stars. This has got to be it. 1931. The bride here is Doris Finster, which is the name we searched earlier. And he's also obviously remarried here in 1937, 6 years after this particular marriage. So let's have a look at this record and we can see that the details here. Again, if there was any record detective options, they would appear just under the site and the print. So back to search results. And here's a second marriage. This is interesting. So maybe I'm interested in finding out a little bit more about his second marriage here. And we've got the marriage details and everything else there as well. Okay, so that was some searching, a basic and an advanced search. And if we're wanting to clear out the search, we can just start a new search over here. Again, if you do any new searching, it will just take you by default into the advanced search. Okay, but that is some examples there. Really great way to find your ancestry record. Now, I also wanted to talk about the categories. I mentioned these are available here, so you can browse them to start off with. If you're interested in just the family trees, of course, you can go in here. What I do like to have a look at is the collection catalogue. So, right at the top, collection catalogue, we can see how many collections are indexed here. We can also see the updates. So, I mentioned that those family trees are updated daily, and we can see the updates are here. So please bear in mind this will be a US update. Over here, we can see the number of records for each of those collections as well. What you'll also see is it's sorting here by the number of records. But if you're wanting to look at really recent updates, you can go into last updated and we can see the content that's been most recently updated here. And again, what we could also do is have a look on the left-hand side to navigate into those more specific uh, collections themselves. So this is looking at the last updated all collections, but I might be interested more maybe in the birth, marriage, and death. And maybe I'm interested more in death, burial, cemetery, and obituaries. So now I'm just looking at these options. And over here, we can refine by location. So I'm after Oceania here. There's 33 in this collection here. And now I've got Australia cemetery inscriptions, and these will also include images. So if there are images or anything else included, we have the options from there. So I'll go ahead and just click on that. And again, if we're looking for someone, someone's death plate, we can certainly type in the first name, the last name, the gender, as much information as we have, and then we can search for that. So just have a look at my ancestor here. So we know the birth year was 1911. Again, as much information as you want. You can do your flexible matches, you can do your calculations as well. If we also know the death date, we can also type that in. If we don't, though, obviously we can keep it blank. If we know the burial place, we can add that here as well, or any additional relative details. So let's have a look here. Here is the Doris Davis. This is not the correct, this is definitely not my grandmother. So we can see circa 1930. Let's have a look though. There's some information here. Whoops, that should zoom in and out. Back to research results. So I may have the date wrong for the death date. And again, you can always come back through and edit your searching as well. Okay, so that's just reviewing some of the browse collection catalogs. It's a really nice way of locating information really quickly. And just to recap on that, you can sort your records. We had a look at last updated. We can also sort by the collection name. And again, we can further focus that down. So that is the browsable options for MyHeritage. Now, this does take me almost to the end of our session, so I'll just pause here and see if there's any questions from anyone about MyHeritage. All right, I'll show you one other thing that I thought was really interesting as I was doing my search earlier. So I had Alex John Roper again. This was the marriage that occurred with my grandmother. So I'm just going to go ahead and search on him. And I thought this was really funny because I know that he was from Victoria and I can see that he was actually in a newspaper index here from the Gippsland Times in Victoria. So not just so I can find the images that I mentioned earlier, but also if their name happened to appear in a newspaper, which is what it's here. He was actually charged with riding a bicycle at night in 1943. So I thought that was an interesting little thing to locate when just doing the search on the name. It was the first thing that came up was this newspaper index item as well. And again, we can start to see here's that marriage index to my great grandmother and so on. Okay, so I'm going to just jump back to my slide deck. So just to recap, basic search, provide the details, including the name, year of birth, place, and keywords. When viewing results, you can filter to the left-hand side by those different collections. The result view themselves, just clicking into that will show you information. You may also get an image as well if that image is available. The advanced search just allows you to do more precise searching, so adding in those relatives. It does fuzzy searching as well. So last name sounds like you could do your exact matching. Partial dates and date ranges can also be included. And then we can also search by the collections. So we can click on the browse by collection and then we can sort on the left-hand side as well. And also using the interactive map to narrow down to your geographical location. Okay, so we've done our search already. So I'm just going to wrap up with a bit more information about promotional materials. So if you have Library Aware, these are some items that we've made available to you can help promote it within your library. So we actually have a promotion kit. I've provided the link in here. This will take you to EBSCO Connect, and you'll find things like product buttons for your website, the actual social media kit components. There's bookmarks, all sorts of things, and downloadable graphics. The product button, when you've got it, will look very similar to this. You would just download a zip file and the product button would be available there. A social media kit example. So we have little posts for social media, and we also have a link for how to use social media within your library effectively. These are some example bookmarks from the promotional page. So these can be quite useful. Again, if you're in the library, you're wanting to promote MyHeritage, you can provide details in here and have them maybe just on the library information desk so people can take them with them and they can obviously sign it at home as well. And we also have handouts and posters available if you're wanting to promote within the library. Okay, we also, as part of our promotion kit, give you some example promotional text for emails if you were doing an email blast about maybe it's Family History Month or you're wanting to really promote MyHeritage with your users. So that's all available from the promotion kit. And that takes me to the end of the session. If anyone has any questions on MyHeritage, please let me know. I hope you found the session useful. As I mentioned, this session has been recorded and will be made available to you afterwards. Okay, so any questions, feel free to pop them through in the chat. Whilst you're doing that, I'll just move to my last slide, which is just a reminder that today's session's part of our ANZ Public Library series. Our next session tomorrow is on the Novelist Plus platform, and we also have a session on Library Aware, Flipster, the new EBSCO user interfaces featuring ANZ Reference Centre and Master File, and also Consumer Health Complete. We are also running an ebook competition or campaign across May as well. And I'll send you some details through in an email. Okay, that takes me to the end of the session. So I'll just thank everybody for your time and I'll stop sharing my screen here.